Well, the fact that Philip K. Dick's novella about predicting the future was pretty accurate at predicting the future is a weird science-y fact that boggles my mind. Fears about artificial intelligence ranging from Skynet to Lauren Boebert have weighed on the collective mind of society for decades. And while some of our science fiction fears like AI replacing jobs, producing deep fakes, and possibly even becoming self-aware seem to be on reality's doorstep, one you probably didn't have on your radar was the Minority Report minority reporting itself. But it turns out before we get Terminator, we might just be getting Tom Cruise preventing pre-crime, as well as predicting all of your other life events, like when you'll move and die. Now, this may seem far-fetched, but researchers in Denmark took basically the same coding for ChatGPT and rearranged it so instead of analyzing language, it analyzes life events. And they took a bunch of data from 6 million Danes to see how accurately they could predict when they were gonna die. Turns out with an accuracy of about 80%. Now, before you freak out and start trying to Google when you're gonna die, this technology hasn't made it that far yet. So far, this is just a proof of concept to see if technology like this has the ability to work. All the information is currently anonymous and everybody's private information is not available to the public that's being used in this study. But to see if their creative coding was going to work, they took a sample group of these 6 million Danes, ages 35 to 65, a group not very likely to die in the near future, and it asked the program which of those Danes would be dead in the next 4 years. And it told them with an accuracy of 78%. And to continue testing it, they asked how many of those Danes would move from Denmark over that same 4-year period, and it was accurate 73% of the time. Now, there's plenty of other predictive models that exist already that seek to figure out that same type of information. And they are heavily in use in both the public and private sector. Health insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, just insurance in general uses predictive models all the time to judge how risky you might be and how much they want to charge you. Banks and lending institutions use predictive models to figure out if you're worth borrowing to and how much interest they can get away with charging you. Court systems use predictive software to judge how likely you are to reoffend and how you should be punished, or, rehabilitated. Law enforcement agencies use predictive software to figure out where they think crime will happen and distribute police accordingly. And national security agencies use predictive software to profile, terrorists and shit, I guess. Which is already some minor level Minority Report shit. So how is all of that software different from this? Well, at its core, in a bunch of computer nerd terms I don't understand, it operates completely differently. And it gives different results. Well, all of those other predictive softwares grade you on a scale. You're high risk, medium risk, low risk. This Life2Vec software can grade you on a binary, like, nope, you'll be alive or dead within this time period. Not, you're at increased risk for heart disease, it's you will be dead from a heart attack. Which obviously has some incredible potential in things like preventative healthcare. If a program could isolate genetic, lifestyle, and environmental factors and say, if you change this, you could prevent this, that could revolutionize healthcare. You could potentially narrow down factors to prevent poverty, crime, substance abuse, mental illness. You could potentially use this to find a better partner for yourself or find a more suitable career. Options are really limitless, but is that a good thing? Obviously, we can all agree that if we could use a technology to prevent cancer in kids, that'd be incredible. But what's the ethics behind letting people know when they're going to take an eternal dirt nap? Or potentially guiding people's love lives and careers? And this AI can still suffer from the shortcomings of many other predictive models. Unintentional biases can arise when new data and advancements aren't calculated for. What happens when new medical technology lowers the risks of previously life-threatening conditions? And the algorithm hasn't taken that into account and tells you you're going to die next year. And our systems are built by humans. The way we collect data was devised by humans. Our systems have deep-rooted systematic prejudices, and we see the consequences of that in predictive modeling across the board today. Our judicial system and law enforcement agencies have been built on systematic racism. As a result, police have always more heavily policed minority communities. And judges and juries have more heavily punished minority offenders. Throw in some of the systemic generational poverty we've created, and already all of these models are making their decisions on our preconceived biases, because that's the data they have to work with. And people still have the potential to manipulate this data and feed it biases and then use the machine learning to say that it can't be biased. And corporations are already trying to exploit machine learning to figure out how to exploit us out of more money. And we all know that there is absolutely no limit to the lengths that private industry is willing to go to take advantage of technology that takes advantage of us. But as of now, this new AI is a good thing for a number of reasons. First, a few Danes is not representative of a global population, and this has not been through the trials and has not received the information it needs to be a viable, usable model. It's currently a proof of concept at best. And while most of the potentially problematic machine learning being used today is being used by big tech and big government, who are usually of the mindset that they can regulate themselves and we are on a need-to-know basis, of which they rarely ever seem to find a basis we need to know. This particular project is being undertaken by the Technical University of Denmark for the purpose of transparency. They're creating this program out in the open so people know what could be going on and what probably is being worked on behind closed doors of more nefarious actors. And if we're smart, we'll use their information to push for better regulation. And the fact that we may not need time-traveling Terminators to tweak tomorrow because they'll have true theories of those tribulations today, well, that is horrifying, but pretty mind-boggling.